The power of one simple egg. In a quiet village surrounded by green hills and golden fields, lived a boy named John. He wasn't wealthy, nor was he known for any remarkable talent. He was the son of a humble farmer, attending a small school and helping on their modest farm. Every morning, his mother would boil one single egg, wrap it carefully in a piece of cloth, and hand it to him before he left for school. "This is your strength for the day," warmly, she would say, pressing it into his palm with love in her eyes. That one egg wasn't just breakfast. It was a silent promise. It said, "We may not have much, but we have enough to keep going." One chilly morning, as John made his way through the village market towards school, he noticed a little girl sitting alone near a stone wall. Her clothes were torn, her hair tangled, and her eyes sunken from hunger. People passed by without noticing her, but John stopped. He didn't have money or food to spare, just the one egg in his pocket. He stood silently for a few seconds, torn between his own hunger and the need in front of him. Then, without hesitation, he reached into his cloth wrap, took out the warm egg, and gently placed it in the girl's small hands. She looked up at him with wide eyes. "Is this really for me?" John nodded and smiled. "You need it more than I do." He walked away, stomach empty, but heart full. At school that day, John's teacher, Mr. Kaleem, gave the class an assignment: write about one small thing that changed your life. That evening, John sat by candlelight and wrote about the egg, the gift he gave away, the feeling it brought him, and the understanding he gained. That sometimes the smallest act of kindness carries the greatest meaning. A few weeks later, Mr. Kaleem called John to the front of the classroom and said, proudly, "John, your essay was one of the most heartfelt things I've ever read. I submitted it to a national storytelling contest. And you won first prize." John was stunned. He had never left the village, let alone imagined winning anything. The prize wasn't just a certificate, it included a scholarship. For the first time in his life, doors that once seemed permanently shut were beginning to open. News of his story spread. A local journalist interviewed him, asking, curiously, "Why did you give away the only food you had that day?" John replied simply, sincerely, "Because I still had hope. She had nothing. I had one egg, but she had empty hands." That one sentence captured hearts. The story of John and the egg spread far beyond the village. Schools and NGOs began sharing the message. Some launched initiatives inspired by it. Small kindness campaigns named things like "One Egg, One Hope" or "The Kindness Start." The egg had become more than a symbol of food, it was a symbol of compassion. Years passed, and John grew. With the help of his scholarship, he studied social entrepreneurship at university. But he never forgot the power of that one moment, that one egg. After graduating, he launched a nonprofit called Egg Start. Its mission was to provide one boiled egg and a handwritten note of encouragement to underprivileged children across the country. What began with a dozen eggs in a single school quickly expanded. Every egg came with a short note. Some said, "You are brave," others said, "You are not alone," and some simply read, "Keep going." In 5 years, Egg Start was serving over 10,000 eggs each morning, 10,000 messages of hope. One rainy afternoon, John visited a school in a remote village that had just joined the program. As he watched the children unwrap their eggs, smile at the notes, and eat together, a young girl approached him. "Are you the egg man?" she asked softly. John laughed. "Yes, I guess I am." She handed him a folded paper. "My sister told me about you. This is for you." John unfolded the paper and saw a drawing. A little boy handing an egg to a crying girl under a tree. The girl in the drawing had messy hair and wide, sad eyes. "That girl," the girl said, pointing to the drawing, "was my sister. She told me how a boy once gave her an egg when she thought nobody cared. She said that day made her want to be better. She stopped begging. She started school. She always told me, one kind act can change everything." John stared at the picture, speechless. The girl he had given his egg to, all those years ago, had survived, grown up, and passed the lesson on to her younger sister. The ripples of that small act were still moving forward, touching lives he had never even seen. In the years that followed, John became a global speaker, but he never let go of the original message. At every event, he held up a single boiled egg and said, "This is not just breakfast. This is not just protein. This is proof that small things can change the world." that love doesn't need to be loud or large. Sometimes, it's just an egg shared with someone who needs to know they matter. He would pause, holding the egg carefully in his hand, and conclude, "The world doesn't always need more money, more power, or more noise. Sometimes it just needs one egg, given with heart, and that can be enough to hatch a better future."